The Oxford Dictionary defines reality as the state of things as they actually exist, as opposed to an idealistic or notional idea of them, a thing that exists in fact, having previously only existed in one's mind, or an existence that is absolute, self-sufficient, or objective, and not subject to human decisions or conventions. Welcome to the unReality podcast. Hi, I'm Charlie, and I'm a spiritualist.
I'm Marcus, and I'm an analyst. For those of you listeners who would like us to get to the point about what this podcast is, the premise is a series of conversations between an analyst and a spiritualist on a range of topics that touch on things that are perhaps beyond our understanding as human beings. So, why this?
I'm going to speak on behalf of Marcos and myself and say that we have both followed a somewhat conventional path in life.
Somewhat.
And yeah, I say somewhat because the path wasn't necessarily easy or direct for either of us. But we both had relatively happy childhoods. You know, we grew up, went to school, settled into jobs, met each other online, and got married and had a baby. And so things are going relatively well for us now. So recently, the question for me became, so now what? So Marcos and I have had some really thoughtful discussions, late night discussions,
Yeah.
because we have a baby. And for what I think are altruistic reasons, we thought we would share our perspectives with others who are perhaps asking the same question.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, and I would say everything. I think we're doing this because it feels natural, It's just another way to search for answers. We always say the conversation is a search for answers themselves. If we were not interested in what the other one thinks, we would not have the conversation from the beginning.
No.
So once we're already having these conversations, and sometimes we were thinking, well, this conversation was pretty awesome. I would love to if we actually recorded this because it was really so good.
And I think the other kind of funny thing is that we're not actually trying to murder each other in these conversations. So perhaps it is useful to perhaps we're not the only ones though that can have different viewpoints and not want to murder each other.
And I just said it's good to have witnesses.
Yeah.
So in this case, because we are already comfortable debating, why not doing it for an audience? We're not putting in a podcast, right? And this is the thing. There's a lot of questions to answer, and I'm gonna quote you here. You wrote once to me, "The act of looking for answers actually produces the answer." So because looking for answers is the answer itself, this makes this podcast our answer.
Yes. So why now? Why do this now? So I don't know, for a long time, I wavered between atheism and agnosticism. I didn't know what I believed. I never settled in on a particular belief system. And even now, I
didn't know you were any of those things before.
Well, we learn something every day. So in my case, I think my way of moving through the world was just continuing to put up goalposts and more goalposts based on what I thought I should be doing and what others were expecting of me, especially with respect to my career, for example. And so after trying to reach particular goalposts and failing miserably, I just kind of fell to my knees. I was a real emotional mess. And I think when that happened, the best thing that happened was when I started questioning everything, and I started to ask myself, what is the point of all of this, of life? because by genuinely asking the question, I genuinely wanted to find an answer. And so it helped me start to look at the world a little bit differently, and a whole new world opened up to me.
I mean,
So all to say, I don't have like a specific doctrine that describes my belief system. And I think that will unfold as Marcos and I start to explore different topics.
yeah, that's actually quite an interesting story, I would think. Because first, I learn a lot about you right now, so that I'm guessing this is already worth it. Uh, I mean, for me, you probably remember. For me, all this like philosophical stuff, it started with a Rick and Morty and BoJack Horseman video by Wisecrack, but by Wisecrack channel on YouTube. So I never knew, I was an analyst. I never like even. I guess it's the more nihilist thing to do. There was like you don't even care if you're an analyst or not. So, so watching this video that I totally recommend, um, I started getting interested in philosophy from a nihilist standpoint. Like I was not like, oh, I'm gonna rediscover what I am. I'm like, okay, now that I know what I believe, or now that I know my path, I'm just gonna research a bit more about that. And we watched together the 3 seasons of Rick and Morty as well. That was like starting February this year, right? And the funniest thing is, one day, and this for me was like I would say the moment I knew I had crossed the line. I read this article called Rick and Morty at the Meaning of Life. I remember I sent it to you. I watched it. I think I was I was reading it like at 2 a.m. someday. The article was like, it was written by this guy called Daniel Jeffries that I knew nothing about, on a blog called Hacker Noon. And the whole thing was, he was telling you he was supposed to send you in a deep rabbit hole. He was like, oh, get a glass of whiskey ready. And in the middle of the article was like, oh, now pour yourself another glass of whiskey, because it's supposed to be like very, dark, and you're going to get scared. And well, I did get a glass of whiskey. Why not? But while we're reading it, I felt very comfortable. I felt that I was not going through like down a rabbit hole. Like I was already in it, and I was very comfortable there.
Oh. Well, I think I had like a melting point, or sort of a point of no return, but I think there were a lot of events in my life that led up to me following a spiritual path. And it really started when I was at home with our daughter, and I was on parental leave. I was home alone all day.
1 year alone with your daughter at home can really...
I had a lot of time. She slept a lot, and I nursed a lot, so I had a lot of time to waste on the internet, and I spent a lot of time on subreddits I probably shouldn't have spent time on.
I think we should do an episode of your story and how all this started for you, because I think that gives you a whole episode on that. So I'm just gonna say, like, to answer why now, I'm just gonna say that according to what I think both believe, now is irrelevant because time is a social construct.
It's true. And I think one point I want to make about now, maybe we can wrap this up, is that now is the only time we ever actually experience. Have you thought about that?
Thank you, Captain Obvious, but yes.
Yeah, but we don't think about it.
Well, you experience the past is something that already you experienced.
You experienced, and
a lot of people say that time is actually it's a cycle, meaning that you have already experienced this in limited times.
You mean we're in like a
loop? Yeah, 100%. There's a theory. It's like theory like multi-universe.
You're talking about like reincarnation?
No. Like there's this theory that says that this has already happened infinite times.
Well, all to say, all we really have is now, so that's why now.
Well, I think that's everything for today. We can we can just leave some for the next episode.
So that's just a taste of unreality. And as you see, we're already just trying to delve into topics. We could spend hours, but we're gonna try. We're gonna try.
We're gonna try to keep it short. So I guess you will hear us in the next episode. Thank you.